Hey everyone, this is Justin with Justin Osmer Photography. I'm here today to talk to you about Sony's new A7. It's a new mirrorless full frame camera that they came out with. It's the first one. They have a couple full frames before this one. This is just their first mirrorless. Their other previous lines of mirrorless cameras is you got the NEX7. So I'm basically here just to compare those two. Obviously, the NEX7 is a crop sensor to where the A7 is a full frame sensor. So frame wise, I mean, this is significantly bigger than the NEX7. So comparison wise, body wise, you can see there's quite a bit of difference in buttons. So on the back of this one, you can see there's just a dial with their confusing menu system that they have for setting everything up. The menu, I mean, it's just, you get used to it, but it's still kind of confusing. And then you have the two dials on top, which can control, depending on what setting you're in, aperture, manual. You can do aperture and shutter speed. So, I mean, it depends, but you have the two dials up there. The screen still flips out on this one. And then you have the play button and that focus. And then that's basically it on the NEX7. On the A7, you have a whole new set of buttons. So you have the white balance button. You have the different shooting modes button. You have the function button, the auto exposure, which you have on the NEX7 as well. A trash button, and then you have a few command buttons. You have command 1 up here, and then command 2, and then the command 3, which is the trash can. And then on top, you have the different. On the NEX7, you had to go through the menu settings and switch it between aperture, shutter priority, stuff like that. On this one, it's right on top. Also, you get the exposure compensation. So that's, I mean, that's kind of nice. And then the whole menu systems, like if you have any of the other Sonys, like the A99 or A700, looks pretty much the same. This also has built-in Wi-Fi. The NEX7 does not. The NEX6 did come out with built-in Wi-Fi, and so now the A7 has built-in Wi-Fi. This is also weather sealant. Weather sealed. So basically, if it's raining outside, I don't know if you want to take it out into the pouring rain, but around the edges of here, you got the rubber sealing. On the inside of here, you got rubber. So it's, if you want to go out in the mist or if it's snowing, something like that, this is weather sealed. The NEX7 is not. More focus points. The A7 has 117, where the NEX7 only has 25. And then speed-wise, frames per second. This does 5 frames per second. This one does 10. So, I mean, I don't know if you really plan on shooting sports. I mean, it depends on what type of photography that you would do, which would depend on if you need 10 frames a second. I mean, 10 frames a second is always nice, especially for sports. If using this mainly for landscape, portraits, 5 frames per second is nice. Having a little bit more is always nice, but 5 is typically better. The NEX7 has a better battery life than what the A7 does. Bigger frame, more battery. Let's see, what else? Lighter, of course. Sensor, yeah. High resolution screen. This one has 1200 to 30,000 dots, to where the NEX7 only has 921. ISO 16,000. ISO 25,600. So I mean, I'll have a chance to play with it. I just got it in the mail tonight, and so I was able to go down. You can see on the screen the Mission Inn, which is a local hotel. It's famous in like Southern California. It's a really old hotel. They light it up every year. They have the Festival of Lights. The A7 also has the flip out screen, same thing as the NEX7. So most Sonys do that. Plus, you have a normal hot shoe on top of this one, where you can slide a typical adapter. And this one, I mean, this one needs the adapter, which you can get on Amazon for $5. Not bad. NEX7 also has a built-in flash, where the Sony A7 does not. Never used my on-camera flash because all it does is make it look like an on-camera flash. All right. So for that, I mean, I took just a few pictures down there. I bought an adapter. I had a Nikon D800, sold it for the A7. 800 was just big. I got the A7 not the A7R, just because I mean it had 36 megapixels, and it was nice, but it takes up a lot of hard drive space. I know memory is cheap, but I don't. I mean, I don't. 24 is plenty. I can still make a big size, huge poster out of 24 megapixels. So going to the 36, paying an extra little bit amount, didn't really care. So I bought a Nikon adapter and I have a Rokinon 14 2.8. It's a manual, which is kind of difficult to use on this one because it doesn't let you peek. Like when you go, when you set it to manual focus and you turn it the focus dial, it'll zoom in to what you're taking a picture of, so then you can check the focus and see it, make sure it's 100% correct instead of just doing autofocus. Fantastic for landscapes. It doesn't do it when you do the manual on this one because it's not the proper lens, but it still works. The shot that you see on the screen right now was taken with the Rokinon. Um, uh, so I mean, it does pretty decent. Uh, just some shots from the streets. Got the invisible car there. You know, everyone has invisible cars at the Mission Inn. Um, and that's just, I mean, just I was just walking around with my brother. It was opening night a few nights ago, and so I mean, I got big crowds. I figured I'd go down there when it's a little bit later on, a little bit slower, get some shots. But I mean, overall, the Sony did pretty well. Did some HDRs. Lightroom doesn't have. They have a beta, I guess you want to call it, like a test trial of 5.3 out, which works with the A7. 5.2 does not, and also Photomatics I seem to be having issues with. I have to play around with a little bit more because when I import them through Photomatics, like 3 images, it gives me like this purplish, hazy photo to where it doesn't look like a typical photo. But you see the images look just fine on here, but once I merge them, I don't know. I have to contact Photomatics and find out what the issue is with that, whether it's just my wrongdoing or if it's software, if the camera, whatever it is, I'll get it figured out. But besides that, I mean, it handled pretty well at night. Focused when I used autofocus, it focused on pretty quickly, even in the night. Took a couple shots of a band playing. Um, Focused pretty quickly on them. It's pretty sharp. ISO is great. The NEX7 has good ISO, but I mean, when I get up to like 1,000 ISO or so, it starts. You can start seeing a lot more noise. With the A7, it's good. I mean, I was just screwing around with it, and I was getting pretty decent shots at a high ISO. So I mean, overall, I mean, I'm completely satisfied with that. Um, so as soon as I get a chance to do more, say like some daytime um, landscapes or just some portrait work, something like that, I'll definitely update this video, and I'll have a link to those photos of just simply the A7 photos. And you guys can compare. I mean, if you guys have like an NEX7 or NEX5 and just want to upgrade to a full frame, the A7 is great. Whether you have a DSLR and want to go to the A7, I mean that's up to you. I mean, Sony's gonna make great cameras and mirrorless, and the A7 is the first is a good start to mirrorless full frames. Just a lack of lenses. That's the biggest downfall. They're coming out with 4 lenses specifically for the A7. It has an E mount, which NEX7 has, but if you take, say, the 16 millimeter, the fisheye converter, and put it on here, it takes away the 24 megapixels and makes it an APS-C sensor. So now it's cropped. So that's a downside. You always get an adapter for the current Sony ones that are out there. So if you have an A99 or A700, there's an adapter you can buy for $350 and use those lenses. It'd be nice if they would have made it like an A adapter ring, but they made it E. So that's the only downside I see so far. It's just the lenses, and then you have to buy adapters, and it's just things like that. But besides that, I think the A7 is a great camera. And so if you're looking to get a full frame mirrorless, it's about 1,700 without the kit lens, which is this one. If you want the kit lens, it's about 2,000. I believe about 1998 or so. So I mean, relatively good price compared to the, say, like a D800 for Nikon, which just starts around the 26. So save about $1,000 or so for a camera that's a third of the size. I mean, you can always do a lot more with the full DSLR. Processor's much faster, um, stuff like that. But like I said, A7 is a great camera. If you want to bump up to your first full frame and you want a mirrorless, I highly recommend the A7. All right, so if you guys have any questions, comment, subscribe, like below, and I will talk to you later. Peace.